All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about the drama going on in the House of Representatives as Kevin McCarthy continues to lose the vote for speakership because House Freedom Caucus members, aka MAGA Republicans, are saying no. Okay, we don't want Kevin McCarthy to be speaker. Now, the ongoing rounds of negotiations in which Kevin McCarthy is going to have to give concessions that is going to make him less powerful as speaker if he actually ever gets the votes. I mean, at this point, I don't know if he actually will, right? But I'm assuming that in the end, he will probably become speaker after he gives up enough power to do so. But regardless, until then, this is quite entertaining, right? It's very entertaining. And I don't understand the people that are freaking out about this, saying that, oh my God, we need to get to work. Congress needs to get to work. And I'm like, these people work less than anybody else in this country, right? They work literally half the year. Half the time, Congress is off. And they're making a huge deal about the fact that, oh, okay, Congress, they got to take 3 or 4 days. I mean, it could be more, right? We don't know how long this could go to pick a speaker. And I'm like, well, again, you guys don't work half the year anyways, right? So if you need to make up for it, then you have plenty of days in the calendar to make up for it, okay? I've never seen a position, a job that's so important to a country that does not work as much as Congress, okay? So again, if they want to make up for these lost days, they have plenty of days to make up for it in the calendar. I don't know, maybe you should work during Christmas, right? Work during the holidays, okay? Don't take any days off, and you can easily make up for it. But that being said, again, up until Kevin McCarthy probably eventually becomes speaker, this has been pure entertainment. As Trump actually was nominated for Speaker of the House by Matt Gaetz. And guys, we all know how much Democrats would hate if Trump actually became Speaker of the House. Not that it'll actually happen because Trump hasn't declared, but we do know that even the thought of Trump having the gavel in the House and maybe even leading impeachment proceedings and investigations against Democrats is probably their worst nightmare, right? And this meltdown from CNN right here is going to be basically all the proof that you need that these people can't even stomach the idea of Trump becoming Speaker of the House. So without further ado, I want to react to CNN's reaction to Trump being nominated and go from there.
It's just fascinating to hear, and it shows you the leverage the never Kevin or the anti-Kevin people think they have for Congressman Norman to say this is just round one. They've been at this for months. They've been talking about this for months throughout the whole election year. If we win, what happens? Put that aside. They've been at this for 3 days. So that that the never Kevin or anti-Kevin or holdouts, whatever you want to call them, keep saying, it's just proof that they're going to keep asking for more. That every time they ask for more.
And they should, right? They should continue to ask for more because Kevin McCarthy is untrustworthy. He's untrustworthy. He's a snake. He's proven to be a snake. So yeah, that is how negotiations go. That is how using leverage goes. Continue to ask for more and more and more until you get everything that you could possibly want. It's really that simple. Has these people ever read The Art of the Deal? Right? I mean, at some point they're going to have to compromise, but I'm just saying, if you got more leverage, you should use it.
If you look at the vote count, they believe they have the leverage. Even though they're in the minority, they have the leverage. One other quick point. You see Donald Trump up there with just one vote and how embarrassing that is to him. But that Matt Gaetz would nominate Donald Trump for Speaker of the House on January 5th, hours away from the second anniversary of January 6th, just tells you how this is not a serious enterprise, how at least many of the holdouts are just not serious people. 2 years ago tomorrow, Donald Trump tried to steal the country, tried to overturn an election, tried to subvert the democracy that lives in that building. So it just shows you that this, for some of them, is just not a serious enterprise. It's a protest. It's a sport. Call it what you will. Matt Gaetz can choose his own words, but it's not serious, and it's not about governing.
Okay, so first and foremost, they say that, well, this is embarrassing. It is embarrassing that Trump only got one vote for Speaker of the House. And I'm like, how is it embarrassing when Trump has said time and time again, I'm not interested in being Speaker of the House. I don't want to be Speaker of the House. He hasn't declared. He hasn't showed any interest in being Speaker of the House. That Matt Gaetz vote for Trump was, again, yeah, it's a protest vote. But I mean, at the same time, it's a vote that is supposed to basically send a message, okay? This is how much we're against Kevin McCarthy. We don't want him to be Speaker, okay? So it's not expected that anybody would vote for Trump. I guarantee you if Trump came out and said, hey, I want to be Speaker of the House, and I'm going to declare my, candidacy or bid to be Speaker of the House, I guarantee you he'll get a lot more votes. And he would probably get more votes than Kevin McCarthy would, right? Because if these Republicans didn't vote for Trump, then there would be a good chance they could get primary, because Trump is a kingmaker in the Republican primary, okay? If Trump says that, hey, I want you to be my candidate in the primary, I mean, there's basically, a 95+% chance of that person winning, okay? So yeah, I mean, it's not embarrassing for Trump to get one vote, considering how he didn't declare, and he's already shown that he's not interested. Also, on top of that, notice the freak out here, right? Notice again how Matt Gaetz is obviously trolling, right? And it's the day before January 6th, and they're like, "Oh my God, you nominated Trump to be Speaker of the House the day before January 6th. How dare you?" Right? How dare you? Again, Trump triggers these people so much and so easily. It's quite fascinating, and it's very entertaining.
Took the words out of my mouth. I'll go a step further. It's repugnant. I mean, the idea that you have a sitting member of Congress standing in the place where, at the time, the Speaker was hunted, and
the Vice President of the United States.
And the Vice President of the United States was hunted by people stirred up by the President, and now he's officially, formally nominated by one of the people who helped to turn that anger and that violence is absolutely repugnant. Yes, it's not serious. Yes, it shows how, how kind of out to lunch this whole process is, but it is worse than that. It's just gross.
And it's interesting that you don't have to be a member of the House of Representatives, Caitlin, in order to be nominated to become the Speaker of the House. To be the Speaker, you don't have to be a member of, and I'm sure Trump is looking at the screen right now, and he sees he's got one vote, and Hakeem Jeffries has 205 votes. You covered Trump for a long time. How's he reacting to that?
I mean, I imagine he's fine with being inserted into this at all. This had kind of been an idea that people had been talking about in his world, this idea of nominating him for this. It's less to do with Trump, more to do with the fact that they are trying to block Kevin McCarthy. That's really what the focus of this is, and the animus from that group of never Kevins, I guess we should say never Kevin McCarthy, since there's another Kevin on the board now, that are voting against him. And of course, Trump, has been looming over all of this, but not in the way he wants, because he had urged other Republicans to vote for Kevin McCarthy. It changed nothing. And so this seems to be a way for these hardliners who are not voting for Kevin McCarthy to get back in his good graces after they ignored his advice, which was to vote for Kevin McCarthy. Trump predicted that this would end today. That's what he wrote on Truth Social late last night or early this morning. That has not happened, obviously. This is not even anywhere close, as you heard from Melanie's reporting. And I think what strikes me is to see from these backroom negotiations that are happening, and we're not getting details of exactly what they're agreeing on, is how frantic all of this is. And it speaks to the fact that this majority is so slim. A year ago, Kevin McCarthy was predicting they could flip 60 seats in the House. Look how slim the majority is. It is causing him to give up all the all the power he would really have if he did ultimately become Speaker.
And here's the thing. That is his fault, right? That is Kevin McCarthy's fault, because he was doing kind of the same thing Mitch McConnell was doing, except to a lesser extent, pulling money and support from Trump candidates or MAGA candidates to support establishment candidates in the House races. Right? He has not inspired American people to come out here and to vote for his commitment to America, his policy agenda. He has utterly failed as a leader in the Republican Party. So it's his fault that he's in this position in the first place, because if the red wave would have happened the way that everybody was predicting or expecting it to happen, the way it should have happened, he wouldn't be in this position. He would be Speaker. But because of his failure of leadership, this is why he's in this position. And furthermore, when it comes to the whole Trump thing, you know what I love about this, guys? When Republicans fall in line with everything that Trump says or what Trump wants to do, they say, well, it's a cult, right? It's a cult, right? These people don't know how to think for themselves. But then you have people who are basically saying, I don't care what Trump says. I got my own opinions and my own stances. I'm going to do what I want. All of a sudden, these people are terrorists, okay? Like Dan Crenshaw described them as terrorists. They're terrorists. They're not serious people, et cetera, et cetera. They get all these attacks when they are basically standing up to Trump. They're telling the American people that, hey, we don't agree with everything that Trump says, and we're not going to do everything that Trump says just because Trump says it, which tells you that this party is not a cult, right? Trump supporters are not in a cult, okay? Obviously, there's things that Trump says that people just don't agree with, and you're not going to go along with. In fact, you should never agree with anybody 100% on anything, right? If you agree with somebody 100% on something or on everything, then there's a problem, right? I mean, even you guys that listen to me every single day, you should not agree with me 100%, right? You should always double and triple check the things that I say and make sure for yourselves that what I'm saying is true, or that, hey, I'm not missing something like that. That is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to agree with somebody 100%. That's actually a problem. I actually love when I read the comments and some of you guys disagree with me, because that means that you're actually thinking, right? It doesn't mean that you just listen to everything I say and you just, agree with it. You shouldn't agree with everything I say. Being able to critically think and to make your own decisions and to make up your mind about what you believe is important. And that is what these Republicans, these Freedom Caucus members are doing. And they're being, shunned for it. Right. And that to me is the funny thing, because, again, if they was to go along with everything Trump does, then they're in a cult. Right. When they don't do it, then they're not serious people. It just shows that you can't win with some of these people. You really can't. And the fact that you have Fox News and CNN and MSNBC, all of legacy media, trashing the Freedom Caucus for this tells you exactly what's going on here. Right. This is a establishment operation. Right. An establishment operation to keep and continue the status quo. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Connected to what we were just talking about. If you look at the reason why they didn't get to where they wanted to get, and people predicted that they were going to get, he himself predicted, is largely because they had so many members who were just not electable. And it's in large part, in many cases, because of the election denialism.
Well,
yeah, it's funny because these same people are going to talk about election denialism and how that's such a disqualification, and et cetera, but they're not going to say anything about Hakeem Jeffries, who is the biggest election denier in the Democrat Party. Okay, this guy, if it's not Kevin McCarthy, it's going to be Hakeem Jeffries probably, right? He would be next. Okay, they have no problems with him becoming speaker, even though he is an election denier. He's an admitted election denier. But again, for whatever reason, they're never going to bring that up. They're never going to use that as a knock against him and why he shouldn't be speaker. It's only a knock against you if you are a Republican. That's it.
It's not just Matt Gaetz showing disrespect for what happened in these hallowed halls on January 6th by nominating the guy that stirred it all up. You'll remember just a couple weeks after January 6th, it was Kevin McCarthy that went down to Mar-a-Lago and said to the to the country overall, but to the Republican Party, this is okay. This now has license to be part of our DNA. The guy that stirred up January 6th. So
yeah, again, it's just amazing to me how they make such a big deal out of that. But again, they have no issues with Hakeem Jeffries and his rhetoric. The fact that party, the Democrat Party, supported BLM riots, Antifa riots that destroyed so many cities in this country. They supported the Roe v. Wade rioters that have been firebombing family planning centers, right? Centers that's supposed to help women with pregnancy. One of the lunatics attempted to assassinate a Supreme Court justice. And none of these people will ever sit down and ask, Democrats and their rhetoric and the things that they're stirring up. Hakeem Jeffries been an election denier. Do any one of these people deserve to be Speaker of the House? Right. So they be in leadership in Congress, considering the violence, the political violence that they stirred up in this country. They will never ask that question. They will never ask that question.
Kevin McCarthy did that in a lack of respect of what happened in those hallowed halls on January 6th. I would note, we had noted many times over the last couple of years, ever since he made that trip to Mar-a-Lago, that he didn't really seem to live up to the title of minority leader, his actual title as leader, that he seemed to be, McCarthy, more of a follower. And I think that's
No, he's a snake, right? He's not a follower. He's just a snake.
Fully on display this week as to why this was not locked down, why you're seeing what Caitlin is describing a frantic process right now. It is a failure of leadership. The actual position he's seeking, he's already shown this week, even if he ends up with the gavel, just the way that this process is going, that he doesn't have the credentials for that in terms of being able to effectively run this place.
Let's not forget.
Yeah. So that's enough for that. Okay. But again, as you guys can see there, full-on Trump derangement syndrome coming from CNN. They can't stand the idea that Trump could be Speaker of the House or that he would even get nominated to be Speaker of the House. Again, cause them to go into a meltdown. Again, classic CNN, right? And I just kind of love the fact that Matt Gaetz trolled the House with even the prospect of nominating Trump and voting for Trump to be Speaker of the House is absolutely hilarious. But I do think that this process probably will come to an end sooner rather than later. However, what you guys are noticing here, more than anything, I want you guys to notice, the establishment media, including Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they're all coming together basically saying that Kevin McCarthy should be Speaker. That tells you everything you need to know about what's going on here, right? It tells you everything about what Kevin McCarthy is about and the Uniparty, right? Essentially, the Democrats and Republicans, for the most part, are two sides of the same coin, right? It doesn't matter which head you land on. You're going to get basically the same thing for the most part. Okay, and that is why they're going so hard against these Freedom Caucus members, again, including Fox News. The reason why is because they're all on the same team, right? They're all on the same team, and Kevin McCarthy is a part of that team, which is exactly why he shouldn't be Speaker. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.